Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Reed Young, aka Shuda for TransformPoker.com, and I wanted to talk about this hand quickly with you guys. It's a pretty cool flop check raise spot, and really what that means. So, you guys can see the middle position player raises to 3.5 times the big blind here, and we call out of the big blind, which I think is pretty standard. We have a suited and connecting hand with Broadway cards and 100 big blind stacks here. So we see a flop of king 10-4 with a flush draw, and we check, which I think is pretty standard as well on a king high board, pretty much always. And middle position player bets about 2/3 pot, which he's going to do a lot of the time, and we decided check raise. So first off, the check raise sizing is pretty freaking huge here, and what happens with that, if you're risking too much to try to get someone to fold, it's it becomes not worth it, because what happens is if he just has king jack or better enough of the time, you're just wasting your money. So if you can kind of get away making him fold a hand like 9-8 of spades by making it $16 instead of 22, it's going to be just as beneficial as far as folding equity goes. And making it 22 is not really going to scare him off too many more hands than making it 16 does. So that's something to think about, and it also gives you a little bit more wiggle room if you want to try to induce a flop 3-bet bluff with your nut flush draws and then jam all in over the top of that and things like that. So that's one thing. The sizing, keep that in mind. It's really important. The more dynamics you can kind of force, and the cheaper you can get away with check raising the flop, both for value and as a bluff, is just going to work out a lot better, I think, on a lot of board textures. So I can see what this guy is thinking, though. It's a pretty draw-heavy board, so maybe he's just thinking he can get a call from all of that stuff on the flop and then bet the turn and maybe take it down pretty often. But a better player is just going to 3-bet you on the flop enough of the time that it's going to cost you if you're check raising to a too large of a size here, like this, I think. So after the whole sizing debacle we've kind of debunked, I guess, let's talk about just check raising the flop in general here. So it's a really connected board texture, like I was saying, but when you're thinking about your value range for check raising, which I think is a really, really good starting point at any time, I would say like king 10 and pocket fours are really all we're representing for value. So you can kind of say like maybe a nut flush draw is for value here because you have so much equity against other hands. But you really need to consider what's going to happen on the turn and the river if you whiff. And so if you overdo it on the flop, you're going to put yourself into a lot of awkward turn spots, and that's really what this guy is asking. So you can see it in action here. He's overdoing it on the flop, I think, with Queen Jack. Not like a horrible hand to check raise by any means, and certainly you want some non-diamond draws to check raise bluff. So on diamonds you can represent some air as well and get value from your flushes. But here on the turn, I mean, just as a general example, you turn something marginal, or say you have a nut flush draw and the turn's a blank. All of a sudden, you're in a spot with a decent amount of equity, and bet folding it kind of stinks because you have so much equity. Checking really stinks because you end up check folding with a lot of equity, and there's just no real great option. Check raise bluffing might work, but they might not have enough draws to be bluffing into you on the turn. So it's kind of a confusing spot. On this specific turn, I think our range actually gets pretty strong here, and actually our opponent's improves quite a bit as well. So instead of betting, which I don't think really gets called by anything worse, I think checking is the best play, and I'd probably be checking to check fold. And so what that means is you need to also be checking some of your strong hands. So main thing is understand what you're check raising on the flop, and then that's going to help you out on different turns. So on this turn, if you're checking Queen Jack, then you got to be checking some hands like King 10 or pocket fours, and pocket fours might be a little bit better because you can check call twice and try to pick off some value bets from worse hands. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check raise bluffing, check raise semi-bluffing the flop. If you did, share it with a poker buddy and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll see you guys next time.